I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Today I have Miss Tracey Shadley with me. She is the owner of Organize A to Z. She has been helping people organize their spaces for 30 years. She is a professional closet designer with a background from California Closets, and we're going to get all into the goodness of that. And she specializes in creating custom storage solutions for any space. During her time at California Closet, she became a design trainer. And then recently, she put all of that knowledge into an online course to help professional organizers expand their business and avoid giving away closet design revenue. So thank you, Tracy, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad we found each other.
Me too. Okay, so today, just so everyone knows, we are going to dive deep into the formula that she has, kind of how she uses it. We're going to talk about all the things she has going on, but we're definitely going to also get into how that can help you as a professional organizer. Why should you care? And just in the few conversations I've had with her before now, I have learned so much, and I've been doing this for 5 years. Like, I didn't even realize a lot of the things that she has already taught me in a very short period of time, because most of us just assume, oh, well, the closet company will come in and do the closet. And like she had told me previous, we are giving away the revenue as professional organizers. So I'm so excited to get into that. Okay, Tracy, why don't you just tell us, I know I kind of introduced you, but just let everybody know kind of where you're coming from, your backstory, and then we'll dive into all the goodness.
Sure. I grew up in Montreal. And you couldn't tell by the way I'm dressed right now, but I actually was in the fashion industry for a little while. Hated it. Just an awful, awful business. And I quit and I had really nothing to do. And my friend was the designer of the new showroom for California Closets. And she said, they're looking for people. Why don't you go and apply there? So I did, and I worked in the showroom selling hangers for a while, and then they kept pushing me, why don't you take the design training? Why don't you take the design training? And I was like, I don't know, like I don't have any background in doing this. I don't know anything about it. Take the design training. So I did, and it was a big leap because it was a commission-only job. So, that's like, and I just took to it right away. The design training was brutal. It was 3 months long, brutal, brutal, brutal. And I loved it and I thrived and I stayed there I was in California Closets for over 20 years in Montreal. And like you mentioned, for about half of that time, I started training the new designers that came in and putting them through the paces. And you've got to remember, this was way back in the olden days when everything was done on paper and everything took so much longer and everything was much more personal than it is right now. We would go to a design appointment and we would tell people, you need to block out 2 hours of your time because that's how long it's going to take. And we would go from start to finish in front of the client with their feedback, doing all the plans in front of them. And it was so powerful to have people actually watch how you come up with a plan instead of just sending them something on the computer. So I got fed up of working for somebody else after that long. And I came to Sedona, and I don't know if anybody out there has been to Sedona, but I fell in love and I was like, this is where I want to live. And I created a business plan to get a visa to come here. And when I did that, I couldn't just do it as a closet company because it wouldn't make any sense, me being one person. So I did it as a professional organizing company with closets attached. That's why the name is Organize A to Z as opposed to something closets, which gets a little bit confusing. And I've been here 13 years and I stopped for the first 4 or 5. I was doing the organizing as well. And I put that aside because I didn't have to do it. I was getting enough revenue doing closets on my own that I didn't have to do that. While I was doing that though, and going into clients' homes and I would see they needed closets done, they were like, "Can you do it?" Well, yes, I can do it. And I started thinking, well, other professional organizers must get this same question over and over and over and over. Like, why are you just decluttering or buying new hangers or putting in bins when you could actually be revamping the whole closet, which will bring you revenue, much more revenue than an hourly revenue. So I took everything I learned from California Closets and all my training, and I put it into an online course. And it just so happened I could put it into the acronym. Is that what it is? The
Yeah,
magic. It just so happened I figured out a way that I could put it into that. So it's a magic formula, but it basically is California closet design training handed to you on a silver platter. So
that's amazing. Well, and I
don't get
want to
excited about
actually,
yourself.
yeah, yeah, don't tell anybody. But I want to get into for a minute because I think obviously a lot of the listeners are organizers or they're just starting their organizing business. And so for me, I'm super curious about when you were in those 4 to 5 years of organizing and you were getting those questions,
Mhm.
and then you had to figure out how to kinda do it on your own. What was it like, did you have a handyman that, like, you always referred to? What were kind of the things that you had to figure out to be able to do the actual installation of it?
So the easiest way is handyman. I got lucky. I'm in a very small town. I work with a kitchen cabinet company and the local, they're a small company. That's the route I went. If there's somebody around there that you know that is willing to do that, they are so happy when they get my closet orders because they're so easy to do in comparison to kitchens that they're just like, give us more, give us more, give us more. They're thrilled to do it. But the most simple way to do it is to use one of the programs that they have online. I'm just going to say Easy Closets, for example,
Mhm.
and do the plan, order the pieces, and have a handyman install it. So Easy Closets also offers a software so that you can do 3D plans. But I teach you to do plans by hand. So you don't actually need even a computer program to do anything. The other option is it won't be as custom, but you could do the plan and go to Home Depot and buy stuff as close as possible, depending on client's budget. Closets aren't inexpensive, as we all know.
Right.
So there's a bunch of ways to do it, but to start, that would be, and that's a great kind of team with a handyman. It can just become like, this is your business. They're your installer and it'll build revenue for both of you.
Absolutely. No, I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so obviously, like, there's different levels to it, and depending on, like you were saying, the price of the closets, the how much time it takes us to put into it, but you started getting so many requests for just the closets that it actually replaced your organizing business.
It did, but I also started advertising just closets. So it doesn't have to take over your business. It could be just an add-on, which is what I would absolutely suggest to start with. Uh,
Yeah.
Actually, as somebody who just took my course recently, she reached out on Instagram and she's like, okay, it's my first client. And what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
how do I know they're not just going to take my plans? And I said, you don't. No, they're not just going to take. I charge for plans. I have absolutely no qualms charging for plans. I do it. I charge $250 for plans. And then if they move forward with me, I reimburse that towards the price of the full closet. But it's your time and you should be charging the amount of time it takes you to do those plans, to revise those plans if they need to be. Do not give anything away for free. Absolutely do not. I never send original plans with measurements on them. I'll send them just like a 3D rendering. So you're not giving away everything, you know.
Right.
So there's ways to do that to start. It'll take a while to gauge how long it's going to take you to do certain things. But to start, I would say I would charge by the hour, including all your closet plans, and then charge mark up the closet, basically, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
for
to make it
whatever.
worth your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, so the formula that you've created, which the acronym you were talking about a minute ago, do you mind going into that just a little bit so they can hear the goodness of your
Of
formula
course.
you created?
Of course. So it's the 5-part magic formula for designing the perfect closet. So the magic, the M is for measuring, which it's like, duh, yeah. But there are so many things to think about when you're measuring, especially when it's your first few times and you walk in and you're like, oh my God, and the closet is full and there's so many things in here. And what if I miss something? And what am I looking for? And what could get in my way? All those things. So we go through that in detail. It's not just how to measure, but I'm teaching how to measure a wall accurately. None of that laser stuff.
Right.
Accurate wall measurement, obstructions, all of those things. That's step 1. Step 2 is to analyze the wardrobe. So your closet needs are going to be different than my closet needs. Then are going to be different than a single man's closet needs. Then are going to be different than a kid's closet needs. So analyzing the wardrobe is literally going through and checking what they have, how much space it takes, how they use it, is this everything they have? All of that type of thing is basically analyzing the wardrobe. So that's the A. The third step is G, which is gauge minimum space. Now, this is the hardest one. And a lot of people, even when I was doing it, I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, why is this step there? This step is not there for huge walk-ins where people don't have full amounts of, you can do whatever and put whatever in there you want. This is for people who have smaller closets that are packed full, and you want to make sure that everything that's coming out when you redesign the closet, everything is going back in. Because if it doesn't, you're going to have one pissed off person. So that's the importance of that. It's like, what is the minimum amount of space that everything is going to take to get back in there? And I know people still skip it. And I teach it because when you're going to get to one of these closets where you're like, oh no. And you're going to go back. Oh, yes. That's what
Yeah, Tracy said, I got to go back
that's
and
why
defend
it's
them that
really
Tracy
important.
said.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we all know, you guys know, as organizers, mess takes up less space than organization.
Yeah.
It does. As soon as you take shoes off the ground and put them on shelves, right? You've taken away space from something else. So how's that going to work when you actually put stuff back?
Which
So that's
actually leads me in. I know we still have two more, but on the decluttering piece, right? Like, so for me, a lot of my clients, they definitely need declutter. Where
mhm,
in do you typically recommend that clients get decluttered first and then start down your path for the
100%.
magic? Okay,
100%. There's no point in designing for stuff that's not going to be there.
agreed.
I have people, I've gone into their closets and their closets are stuffed full and they have their wedding dress in there with the big bouffant. And it's like, okay, why? Like, why is this in your primary closet? You're not going to design around the wedding dress. It makes absolutely no sense. So yes, all of that should be done and taken out and sorted first. I think we had this discussion, and I hate to say this, I'm very sorry, you guys, but if the closet is properly designed, you should not need bins and baskets and all of that stuff to keep things organized. It should be able to be organized on its own, where piles aren't falling over, where things aren't hidden at the back, where all of the stuff is properly laid out and taken care of. Of course, matching hangers and all that stuff. I mean, I'm all for that. But you you don't need to go necessarily buy all the bins and organize and redesign a closet. It could be one or the other. One's going to make you money, one's not.
Yeah.
Or more
Yeah.
money, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too, and that's why I was wondering about that because, I think that for a lot of us, we go in, at least I know I did, especially in the beginning, and I used to think like, oh, I've got to hurry and like get this done in one session and like they're paying for like percent. Like we get in that mind space of where we put this extra pressure on us. And I think being aware of the fact that, hey, this is a multiple step process, but it's a
Mhm.
multiple step process for a reason, because once you get them through those steps of the decluttering and then, organizing, whether that includes the closet design or whatever that includes, but once you get it fully organized, then they are able to maintain. And that is the goal. And as long as we
Mhm.
set the expectations up with our clients from the beginning of, hey, it's not going to be just an Instagram reel and in 30 seconds, it's going to be perfect.
Right. Yes, exactly. And nobody keeps it. I mean, that's the thing too. People you put in baskets and people are dumping stuff in their baskets. They're not necessarily organized. I mean, again, designing, you have those principles of what goes in a drawer, what doesn't go in a drawer, all of that type of thing, which actually is very beneficial when you're doing just the professional organizing as well.
Hmm.
'Cause closet design is not one that necessarily throws in a whole bunch of drawers to organize things. It really depends on how things are used and how
How the client is.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
exactly.
what they have, how they're going to use it. Are they more macro or micro? Like all the different things. Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry to interrupt. I was curious. And so I
No,
think we're
no,
on,
right.
yeah, I
We're
think
on
we're on
we're on
I.
I, which is introduce placement, which goes back to all those measurements that you took. Okay, well, there's a window there. So how do I work around the window? Or there's a hot water heater. How do I work around that? Where do I work around the door? Where is the best place to put something in the closet? 9 times out of 10, designers who don't really do this, you're going to open the door and you're going to see drawers at the back wall. That all the time, but that's not necessarily the best use of the space of the closet. So what's more important, that you see the drawers or that you use the space to its fullest? That's what
Absolutely.
that step is about. And that's the most fun step because it's like putting a puzzle together.
Mm.
Um, and you learn a lot about a client when you're doing that because you'll see you know, I mean, I don't know if people will have the patience to do it in front of clients anymore, but I used to. I'd sit and you'd watch their little micro movements with that doesn't feel right. And then you flip things around and oh, that's so much better, you know. So
Well,
that's
and
really
honestly,
why
honestly, I have an example. So I just recently had a client that had just moved into a house. It had wire shelving, and she wanted to order from Container Store. She had her own handyman that was coming in and installing. And so she was like, "Hey, I think I want to get this." She had taken all the measurements. She had all these ideas in her head. And I said, "Can I please come over and us just walk the closet just for a minute? Let me just make sure that like my brain is cohesive with your brain." I get in there and there were these certain things that she hadn't thought about the window and where it was placed. She hadn't like just these little things. She hadn't thought about her shoe placement, like and it being in a place that actually gave us more hanging space if we moved it to like these couple little tweaks that I was like, hey, and what if we did an 18-inch here and then we actually did this over here? And within 45 minutes of her and I doing it together, she's like, oh my God, yes, this is what I needed. Like that talking it out back and forth. Had
yep.
I let her just order what she wanted and her handyman throw it in there, it would have been hard for me to organize it once all the stuff needed to go back in there because
Right.
at one spot she left like 6 inches of walkway space. And I'm like, you can't turn every time you got to walk through here.
That's it. But people see, they go on to House or what Pinterest or whatever, and they like something and they're like, this is what I want in my closet. I just went through this with a client of mine too. Had she didn't have doors yet. And she showed me the design that she wanted. And I was like, okay, this will work perfectly. But the best way to work this design is with bifold doors or two doors that open.
Hmm.
Course, she chooses sliding doors. So I said, okay, this will work. She said, well, I just want to divide the closet in half and this and that. I'm like, I can't do that. The drawers won't open. Well, no, but the drawers won't open. But the drawers won't open. How many times do I have to tell you the drawers won't open? you know, so people get very stuck on what they like, but they don't understand how it's going to work. Same thing for islands. That's a huge one. Yeah, no, I want to put an island in the middle. Really? Okay. No. Is the drawer going to open? Are you going to be able to stand in front of the drawer? Are you going to have to stand, are you going to be able to walk around the island? Like people don't realize that to have a decent sized island, you need like a 10-foot closet. Like
Yeah.
they don't get that. So that's why learning the design and the rules, just like kitchens and bathrooms have rules, closet design has rules. And
Yeah.
once you know them, it's like, it's such a breeze. It's a
Mhm.
really easy breezy thing to do. And that's the final is C, which is create the final design. So once you've done all the placement, then you actually create the final design either on the computer, or I teach you how to do it by hand. And you can, even by hand, you could present it 3D to a client so that they can, walk into their little, it's actually really fun when you do it by hand because it's like walking into a dollhouse,
Yeah.
instead of it being on a computer screen. So yeah,
That
so those are the 5 magic steps. And seriously, you do that, you're breezing through closet design.
Yeah, well, what I love about what you said earlier too is, like whenever you're like a client that just recently took your course, and then she's like, "Oh, I have my first client and all this stuff." And it's very similar with the courses I've released on starting your organizing business, right? Like you just don't know what you don't know until you get in the moment with the client and then you're like, "Oh, wait, what?" But when they can come back to us and be like, "Hey," which is why I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, courses are getting outdated. I just now created my courses because I don't think that they are. And every client that has taken my courses has come back and been like, wow, every time I had a question, I could go straight to that course and I could rewatch that module and I knew
Mhm.
exactly what to do. And even if I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do, I at least had access to you, like through the group coaching community, where I could come in and we could talk it out and figure it out and in the app and that kind of thing. Which speaking of, so you have 2 awesome things. One is you are coming to do our workshop in September, and we are going to dive so much deeper on this stuff. So if you're listening and you want to learn more, you should definitely come join the group coaching community so you can be at the workshop. If you're listening to this after September, it'll be in the replay vault. So it will be there. You can still watch it. But the other thing is, tell us about your Facebook group.
So yeah, so my Facebook group is Professional Organizers Products and Services. It's a mouthful. I created that group, I don't know how long ago now, but there's over 1,000 people in it. And I'm just like, every day I'm just shocked. I got fed up when I was starting to promote my course. Nobody will let you in the professional organizers groups. It's like one person is the group and is the expert and that's it. And only there. And I was like, well, this doesn't help me, reach other professional organizers. So how am I going to do that? And I finally got fed up and I just created my own group. It's got professional organizers and potential clients in there. It's an open group. So anybody who's looking for that type of thing can go in. And I mean, it seems to be very helpful to people. I go back and I read all of the comments and people are helping people. And I love that. You know what? I'm all about there's enough work out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We all don't want the same clients. We're all not going to get along with the same people. We all work with different budgets, all of that. And I'm all about helping people. In my course, you can reach me right through the course, but I have never turned away when somebody is like, it could be a year later and say, hey, I have a question. I'm not going to turn you away. I'm
Me
here. The
either. Yeah.
point was for me to help you grow this business. You're not hurting me, and if you want to lengthen your call, I offer coaching calls. But, if you have a question, you have a question. Like, so I just felt it was a need for us to pick each other up and help each other promote our products and our services. So hopefully,
Honestly, I love that because that's exactly why I started Pro Organizers Coach is because when I was first starting my business, I felt kind of very similar where I was having to piece together all the puzzle, like all these pieces from different teachers, and then none of it really fit together because I was getting different information from different places. And I
right.
finally was just like, why is there not a community where we're helping one another? And then I would go into some of the Facebook groups and yes, there's some that are helpful, but the problem is when people are behind a computer screen sometimes and you ask a question and they don't know you, you get like 50 different answers. They're trying to help you. It's just they don't know you. So they're giving you all these different answers,
Right.
which would end up confusing me even more. So I was
Right.
finally like, kind of like you did with the Facebook group. I was finally like, that's it. I'm creating my own thing. Like, we'll just figure it out as we go. But that's why, to me, the membership is so powerful, is because we are all organizers in there supporting one another. And that is
Right.
the key and the goal to having what we have. So any of you listening, definitely go check it out. It's called Professional Organizers, Products and
Products,
Services.
services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of my members are going to, and listeners are going to know, because I'm a member and I've seen a lot of them in there anyways.
Oh, good. I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah. I think it's a great, great group. And then the other thing, there was something else that I was going, oh, you've got a freebie. Do you want to tell them about the freebie?
I do. I have a freebie on my website. It's a freebie for the 5-part magic formula. It just gives you basically what it is, the steps. It doesn't go into depth into anything, but it does give you a little outline of what it is and what the course is. So you could head to my website, organizeatozz.com, in the store, and you'll see that there. It's a free download.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'll make sure the links are in the show notes. And the other thing that I want to make sure to mention, that I think is genius, because it's actually the next course that I'm probably going to be creating as well. But you just decided to also add almost like an additional second course that's how to market these services. Because, and like for me, I've got how to start your business, create your website, and now I just launched my how to work with clients as an organizer. But we all get stuck in the marketing phase, all of us.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's genius, especially for the closet stuff, to be like, hey, how do you market it? And here, I've created this resource for you. But I did want to make sure to mention, while we're talking about marketing real quick, I don't know that most people know, and I didn't know really until you mentioned it. Can you go a little bit into the commissions for closet companies if someone's like, you know what, I don't really want to do the whole revenue thing, but is there a way that I can partner with closet companies? Like, do closet companies do that?
Well, I can only speak for California Closets, and I can only speak for what they did when I was there. But they do absolutely offer commission to interior designers and architects, et cetera, et cetera. That's 100% they do. And it was 10%, and I would imagine it's still 10%. But if you do your plans and you take your plans to California Closets and say, here are my plans, please price out the closet and include a designer commission, they will do that for you. I mean, I can't promise you, but I would say
Yeah.
it's absolutely worth the question. They're going to be much more expensive than doing it yourself and doing it with with a handyman. So there's benefit in that. What I don't love about that is you have no control, because it's really, you're handing the business over to the company. If there's a mistake or something, you're going to get blamed.
I was
When
gonna
it's
say, then you're hoping that they represent you correctly to your client.
Exactly. Now, they're very reputable, and I would
Absolutely.
absolutely say that they would, but I'm a control freak, so that's part of the reason. Like, I like to check my own plans. I like to make sure my contractor's doing exactly what I want them to be doing, so there's a little bit of letting go when you do it that route, but it's still easy breezy. I mean, I would imagine Container Store does the same type of thing. Don't they do some kind
Yeah,
of?
I think they have like a designer, like to where they can help you design the closets. The one thing I will say, that same client that I was, helped with recently with her handyman, the problem she kept running into is the designer she was talking to, they were taking her plans and changing them. Like, she would come up with the design on the thing and tell them kind of what it was she wanted. And then they'd like take away hanging space. And she's like, no, I need more hanging space because I have more dresses than I do up. So kind of what you're saying, where the control kind of, and she ended up getting so fed up with it that it wasn't even the cost. It was more the fact that she was getting frustrated, which is how
Yeah.
she ended up down the rabbit trail of like, I'm just going to figure it out myself and have you help me.
Well, I've never worked with Container Store. I've gone in and looked at their showroom, and my mouth fell open at the price of the stuff there. Like, I just was floored at how expensive it was. My guess is it's not custom, so she might have been like replacing modules as much as she could, and it was
Yes.
taking stuff away. So that, there's something to be said about really doing it custom, because some people need 18-inch wides for shoes, some need 20, some need 23. And that's what you want to be doing for a client, not giving them, you know, 20 when they need 21 and their two pairs of shoes won't fit. Like
Right.
they're going to be really pissed off. So
Yeah.
that's the importance of analyzing the wardrobe, and all of those little steps make a difference.
And the other thing too, now that we're sitting here chatting about it, is I think too, when it's a closet installation company, they don't pull the clothes out beforehand. They don't put them back afterwards. Like it's not at all like I used to think it was an all done, like that they help, took care of everything, but they don't. They
No,
literally just install the cabinets and the stuff that needs
me
to be
too.
installed.
That's what I do too. But that's why it's even more beneficial for you guys as professional organizers to be doing it, because you can take the stuff out, you can purge it, you can donate it, then you put it back in exactly where it's supposed to go. And they have this beautifully presented closet when it's done, and they don't have to do any of the work. There's definite added value in that. 100%.
1,000%. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it makes it feel more personalized to them versus, just a handyman's coming in, getting it done, but then now you still have to figure out what to do with your stuff because to me, like I just didn't realize that closet companies didn't do that literally until about this past year. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, they don't put the stuff back. But
No.
again, how do you put the stuff back if there's too much stuff most of the time? And it needs to be purged and all the different stuff. And so that's why I love what you're teaching is because it's like, hey, here's how you can partner it and make more money, but also do a better service for your clients
Yep.
and become known as like a niche in your area as well, on top of that.
Yeah, if as a professional organizer, I mean, I would totally consider taking the clothes out, having your same handyman take everything out of the closet, patch, paint, install do you know what I mean? So you're really
Yes.
going step by step by step. I don't even do that. They've got to take the stuff out and patch and paint, and my guys just come in and install. And they come in and install, and this is my pet peeve with them that I've been trying to get them to do a little bit better. They like do what do they call it? A factory clean. So they basically blow the pieces off. California
Oh,
Closets wipes it down. And that's the way. So I had to put it in my contract that that's how it's, because I had issues, that this is how it's brought in. Because I don't have time to go and wipe down people's closets, and they're
right.
not going to do it. So to do that whole thing and then put their clothes away. I mean, there's so much value in that.
Absolutely. And there's so much growth potential, which is why this is such a valuable courses that you're offering, service that you're teaching, and, at least learning about it, even if someone's just now starting and they're like, well, I don't have assistance yet, or I'm not sure. If you can go ahead and start learning about it and getting that ball rolling, that's when you can start, those pieces will come to you. Like the
Oh yeah.
assistant, the handymans, the whatever it is that you need, they will come to you as you start to learn more and more about it and start seeking those things out for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. And don't forget, even though this is not in any of the modules, all of these principles for designing the closet applies to garages, offices, laundry rooms, playrooms, craft rooms. All of those spaces you'll be able to design with the same principles.
Very
So
true.
it's a
That's
huge,
huge.
huge, huge amount of potential there.
Well, because not just that, I also like as you just said that right now, I have a lady, she's getting ready. She just bought this a $1.2 million home, like, huge to the point where I've had to hire assistants at this point so we can even do her, which is great because I've been wanting some. But it's going to take us like at least 4 or 5 days. But specifically, her daughter does homeschooling. And so she wants to create one of the bedrooms into an actual like schoolroom where the teacher
Mm.
has her own desk, her daughter has her own desk, like, the whole nine, like she above and beyond. And I went to a furniture store around here And kind of when you went to, Container Store, my mouth dropped at just the cost of a little end table. I was like, $1,500 for an end table?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so it got me thinking, I'm like, obviously, because that's one of the biggest furniture stores here in Knoxville that stay so busy, it's crazy. There's obviously a market out there for people that are willing to pay great money for these things, especially when they get to help, like when it's designed for them and their families,
Yeah.
not just what someone else had installed previously.
Exactly. Exactly. You can add a library, you can add an area for toys, you can add whatever you want and make it so that as the child grows up, it can change. You know,
Yes.
there's all kinds. That's the reason I do sale. I have the sales and marketing tutorial is
Uh-huh.
because closet design is a lot of sales. When you're sitting talking to people about their stuff, you're selling at the same time. You're selling why this closet design unit is going to work for them, why they want it, why it's going to be so much better than what they have right now. So I have two levels of the course, and in the VIP level, the sales and marketing tutorial is included. So you get the whole package because it's sales job. It is
Yeah.
just like anything else. You know, it's a sales job, and people don't always realize that. So
Well, and
I
we were
say
actually just
that
talking
too.
about that in the group coaching community this week. We were talking about how based on the words that you say to a client is because you're coming in as the professional. So,
Mhm.
the clients they based on how you say it and what you say and all the things is what they're going to assume is how it should be done. And so for like me, I've been having to rework the way I say things because it's always just been me up until now that I have assistants. So now I'm
Right.
having to reconfigure how I'm saying things in the consultation, on the phone call, because I want to bring an assistant with me, at least one to each session, because it's better, it goes faster, all the things. But just being aware of like, oh, when I say that, the clients are just like, okay, if that's what you recommend, like, but we have to know the value of it to be able to then explain to them. And that's why I think that marketing course that you have is genius.
Right, because you're not gonna have everybody saying. Other A lot of people are gonna have pushback, and especially
Yes.
when it comes to closet and it's a big ticket item, and at the end, you're like, "Oh, it's $10,000." I'm exaggerating because I mean, it's a huge closet for me anyway to be $10,000. And they go, you have to have prepped all of that so that they see the value in what you've presented to them, so you're not backpedaling. And you
Yeah.
can do all of that where they'll be like, "All right, great."
Yeah.
I just wanna tell a funny story 'cause I
Absolutely.
love this story so much. When I worked at California Closets, I had this client, and the first time I saw him, and I always worked with the husband, for some reason, the wife was never around. The first time I saw him, he spent $8,000, and, which is great. That's a reasonable job. And then he moved years and years later, and he bought this enormous home, and he wanted these very, very specific things, like real wood stained, one of them, his closet, like, which should be an inch thick, like fancy, fancy, fancy stuff.
Mhm.
And so I got it all together for him, and I was like, it was like $100,000 in closets. And I was like, I was having heart palpitations. I was like,
Right.
this is just, there's no way this is happening. Like, there's no way. And I went to his office and I, presented everything to him, and he's like, okay, so how much? And I kind of took a gulp, and I started going, closet by closet. And he's like, what's the total? And he looked at me, he's like, you're a chicken.
You're
I
like,
said,
"Yes, I am a chicken."
50%. I am a chicken to tell you this amount.
Yeah.
I told him the amount. He's like, okay. And that was,
Isn't
I
it
mean, that's
crazy?
totally unusual for closets. I mean, kitchens and all of that, a whole house of woodwork. But he was like, all right. And I mean, my stomach was in knots, like
Right.
preparing to tell him that. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it funny how much, like, we as organizers and, just business owners, like we overthink it so much. And the clients that we think like it's going to be so hard to tell them, or we get, worked up, they're the ones that are just like, okay. And then other clients, the
Yep.
ones that were like, oh, it'll be no big deal. Cause it's, those are the ones that are like, what do you mean? Well, and it's
Yeah, what am
so,
I getting for that? Why did it? What's
yeah.
so
Why is it
expensive?
that, yeah. Why is it
Break it
that
down for
cost?
me. Break it down for me. What's the price of a shelf?
Yeah.
And when people get to that point, I'm like, we're not the right people. Like if you're
Yeah.
getting down to what's the price for a shelf, go to Home Depot. You
Right.
know?
And fit
Yeah,
like just pop it in there and go with it as best you can, or keep your wire shelving. That's totally an option
exactly.
as well. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh.
Exactly.
Thank you so, so much for coming on the show.
My
And
pleasure. It's
then
fun.
yeah, and I'll make sure to put the links in the show notes to your freebie and to the website, but just tell everyone again real quick the website so they can go there.
Organizeatoz.com. So ATOZ.com.
Love it. Thank you so much. And then for those of you listening, I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to see you in the group coaching community, and we will
Me
catch you
too.
and we exactly, and we will catch you in the next episode.